What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. Got my co-host with me today, my man Corey. We're gonna talk about Carmelo Anthony and what's the guy named George Karl. George Karl was the coach after Carmelo got drafted. Did he get drafted by the Denver Nuggets?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they drafted Carmelo. Carmelo was there for a year, and then a year after Carmelo got there, George Karl came in. They bought George Karl in because they was like, we need a big name coach to coach these guys. Because you had Carmelo, you had Kenyon Martin, you had J.R. Smith. They had some pretty good.
Did the AI go there that day?
He came later on. He came later on. But so
Camby was Marcus Camby.
Marcus Camby was there. Yeah. So they had a solid team. And so the organization thought, they said, all right, so we got all this talent on here. We need a coach, a good coach to bring in, you know what I mean, to corral all this talent. And Carmelo said his first meeting with George Karl said told him, he was like, I think you overrated. And he said, like, that right then, from that point on, you know, because they got off on a wrong foot, that they never, you know, got along and was on that right foot. And now, years later, George Karl, like recently, they got a book coming out, and in that book, he kind of like badmouthing, talking bad about Carmelo. And Kenyon Martin recently said that, like, the players that played for George Karl really didn't like him because he wasn't, you know, they didn't really feel like they learned anything from him. He said he didn't bring
nothing to the table.
He didn't bring anything to the table. Like he would walk through the locker room and
like he was overrated.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And that's what I think. He was an overrated coach who kind of he had a lazy type of leadership, you know, because sometimes people think when they are like, you're supposed to just bow down to their title. Mm-hmm. And that's what it seems like his leadership, like he was like, all right, I'm the coach, I'm your boss. And that's what you're supposed to follow my lead and do what I tell you to do.
But see, then I go back to the organization.
Yeah.
Why would you bring something like that?
Well, back in those days, though, it was more common for coaches. If you think about like the old school way of coaching, a lot of those guys did have lazy ways of lazy leadership because they wanted you to respect their leadership, but they would use their leverage.
Platform. I feel like they depended on the talent that played for them.
Always.
Yeah. And they depended on the talent and they took credit. You know what I mean? So like if you win, if you win, it's all, you know what I mean? I'm reaping all the rewards. Right. I was able to get these guys to play hard but that's not what leadership is about. Leadership is about convincing guys to being able to push guys and convincing them to play their hardest without you know what I mean, like abusing them or just, you know, being disrespectful. But he wasn't able to do that, and since he wasn't able to do that, he talked bad about Carmelo. He said Carmelo was selfish. He said Carmelo was overrated, and he was putting this out in the media.
I mean, and at this point, like, who cares within that? I mean, we're trying to tarnish Carmelo's legacy a little bit.
But Melo ain't even in the league no more.
No,
yeah.
Right.
And neither is he.
It sounds like it's personal to me.
Yeah.
Like it's, you know what I mean? He taking a personal shot at Carmelo for whatever, well, his reasons are for that. But, you know, I'm pretty sure Carmelo is not even, you know, too much concerned about that.
Yeah, he shouldn't be. And like, so Carmelo,
I wouldn't be concerned.
Carmelo said, all right, so he wanted to see like how other ball players, like, how did you, because he tried to repair that relationship.
Right.
So he said, you know, he went to other ball players and say, well, what did y'all do, man, to get through the coach? How was you able to, you know, to get along with him? And none of the players that he went to, he coached Gary Payton, he coached Sean Kemp, and those dudes didn't like him. He couldn't find a ball player that liked him and said that they learned something. You know what I mean? They benefited from his presence.
Once again, how did he get a job at coaching? That's what
That's what the coaching style was back. You know what I mean? For a lot of people.
They give Doc Rivers the blues now.
Right. Yeah.
Jesus.
Right. That's what I don't understand. Like, how you expect these guys to perform if they don't have a relationship with you? You know what I mean? How you expect them to follow your leadership?
To be a good leader, you have to be an effective follower.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So
absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? You can't just jump in to be a leader and be
right.
a good leader.
And why are we following you if you don't have no accolades either?
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Carmelo brought that up too because they was like, all right, so you have never won a championship and you trying to get us in champions. See, when he came in there and was disrespectful from the rip, now Carmelo now was looking for chinks in his armor.
I feel like they might have brought him in for that group of guys. Think about who that group of guys was. You had Carmelo Anthony, Kenyon Martin, J.R. Smith. These all tatted up.
It was like a control.
Exactly. So they
control.
brought him in thinking he can control them and get them in line. And that may have been his tactic. Coming in, telling Carmelo, man, you
psychologically get in his head.
There you go. So now you either
setting them up for failure.
You either gonna fold or you gonna make a fool of yourself and they gonna get rid of you.
But
and I'm mistake.
I appreciate that Carmelo went the extra effort to find out. You know, because who are you to judge me? I'm on the court. You know what I mean? So like that's crazy to me because I'm saying I'm going a little higher than that because ownership should have stepped in and made some kind of explanations to at least Carmelo and to some of the other players. Like, look, this is not going to be tolerated from either side. You know, so I don't understand that. Like, that's crazy to me to have a coach that if you can track back like that to his history and nobody really cared for him.
Yeah, nobody. None of his.
So in his interview, what did he talk about?
Right.
Yeah.
Why am I hiring you?
What convinced y'all to bring him here?
Right. Unless
if it's not to get
the
people in line.
Right.
But he still never, throughout his career, he still never won a championship.
I don't remember none.
He wasn't no effective coach.
Because he wasn't there to coach.
I couldn't even.
And he still, and even to this day, I don't know if, you know, they say he real sick. So maybe like his son or whoever his handlers are, they putting this book out. But it's not making George Karl, putting him in a good light.
Not at all.
Because, you know, like when Dean Smith passed away from North Carolina, like all those ex-North Carolina ball players had a lot of positive things and they had good memories with him. You know what I mean?
Even with Bobby Knight.
Bobby Knight.
Yeah. I mean, he had on-court antics. You know what I mean? But
at least, you know, Isaiah Thomas, you know, him and Isaiah Thomas had a good relationship. So that speak a lot for him. You know what I mean? And then he won, at least Bobby Knight won championships. You know, but this dude, George Karl, is steady going after.
What is his accolades?
Yeah, no accolades.
He coached 9 different teams in
George
3
Karl,
different leagues.
Don't have nothing to show for it. Right, nothing to show for none of that.
Was 2016. Right?
Oh yeah, I didn't even know it was. I thought it was.
I thought it was
like,
but it's 2016.
Yeah, but to me, he never was a good coach. And now that he putting all this stuff, you know,
it sound like money to me. Now you saying he putting out a book,
right?
And you got to get a narrative. Carmelo's narrative. You know what I mean? You gonna pull Carmelo into a story.
Carmelo probably the biggest player he's ever coached.
Superstar.
Yeah. Well, he coached Gary Payton, Sean Kemp.
But they superstars. They are. Sean Kemp and Gary Payton are superstars. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't get it. Like, why would you just zero in on Carmelo though? Yeah, that's a bit much.
Yeah, I think he is making his image look bad too, though.
It is.
That and they letting it be known that nobody benefited from his presence.
If he this sick, what if it's not even really him writing this?
Right, that's what I'm saying. So his handlers,
$2 and just like, Daddy, who did you hate?
Right, right.
Tell it all. Who did you hate?
Yeah, because to me, I don't see what he's gained out of it. Yeah, Carmelo don't even play no more. Like,
and you at the end of your road.
Yeah, he's 70. I think he's like 72 years old.
Be worried about nobody else's life. Like, just live the rest of yours the best you can.
Yeah, he at the end of the road and get ready to hit the exit.
Yeah, he
ready to get off the exit.
He ready to jump off the turnpike.
You just Googled his, and we came up with nothing.
Nothing. So, it was an empty Google. Man.
Hope no one buys the book.
No.
And I mean, it just don't make. It's not a good look for him.
No.
You know,
not from coaching.
It's not beneficial at all.
Yeah, when you all the ex-ball players that ever played for you don't have nothing. And Kenyon Martin said that he had got sick. George Karl had got sick one time, and they had went to some type of function like to show support for him. He said he was the only player that showed up, and the reason why he showed up is because his agent told him that it would be a good look. But he said, man, I got there. He said I felt like a fool because
ain't nobody else.
Wasn't nobody there. Nobody didn't care about him.
And how can you been in a career like that?
Right.
In locker room with grown talent men.
Yeah.
And these people felt like that.
And you ain't had no positive impact on nobody.
Nobody came to this event except one player who was forced to come.
So you gotta look in the mirror.
Yeah,
you gotta take a look at the what am I doing wrong?
Yeah. So he looked real goofy with that.
And even still after that, you should try to follow up and make amends like let's clear the air, you know what I mean? Because I don't want this.
At this point, he should be trying to make amends, not writing the book.
But even after that, when Kenyon Martin, the only player that showed up,
then you should
I'm reaching out to these guys. I want to, let's on this and get this all out in the open. I do apologize, it's supposed to be professional. You know what I mean? We on the top tier.
Right.
Yeah, he did look like Scrooge though. That was his opportunity to get his act
together.
Not
an assistant coach, he a head coach.
Yeah.
And you ain't got but one player come out. Man, that's crazy.
And that player didn't even want to come out.
Right.
So yeah.
It just speaks to the person he was
as a
coach, because regardless, the name Carmelo Anthony.
Right.
You would have to Google George.
But you want your flowers. I say now. Get your flowers now. So I would have went on here.
Who gonna buy the do y'all plan on buying the book? Y'all going out the Barnes and Noble? That's what I'm saying. Who gonna read the book?
But don't use Carmelo.
Don't use Carmelo.
Don't drag him into foolishness.
There you go.
Yeah.
Don't use that.
You got several other unhappy players.
So do y'all think that like Carmelo just shouldn't address it? He just
I wouldn't even give it no light, man. Don't give it nothing. Because that, you know what I mean? And Carmelo know who he is.
And pay your respect.
What he was as a ball player, and he know who this coach is.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do that.
But I think part of it is though, is like Carmelo and the ball players though, they are tired of him because this is what he been doing though. He been bad mouthing his ball players since they've been in the league, since he been in the league. So they now with social media, they get a chance to fight back.
Following him that care about Carmelo. Nobody.
So he's part of that basketball community, though.
That's true, but it still ain't no need for Carmelo to clap back, respond, write this book.
Not at all.
I wouldn't.
Carmelo is successful. I seen him on a couple different podcasts. Don't waste your time with that foolishness,
man.
Mellow.
Your career spoke for itself, regardless. Like the teams you went to, you still remain mellow. Your career, you still nobody is like, oh, you played under George Karl.
Right.
Yeah.
Nobody right about that, man. You Carmelo Anthony. It ain't no need to respond to this.
It's just sad that he had to be put up in this.
For this, right.
Yeah, it's unfortunate.
For no reason. He's kind of just caught in the crossfire. That man's whole feelings was hurt.
Right.
Yeah.
That's stupid.
So yeah, man. And it's sad that none of his ex-ball players, not even a bench player, you know what I mean?
That's what I'm saying, man. When you look at it, it's the staff, you got the players. Like that's crazy. Nobody showed up.
His purpose then? Like, what was his purpose?
He was an overrated, lazy coach.
Pretty much.
You know what I mean? He was an overrated, lazy coach.
Pretty much.
And
getting paid a pretty good salary to do nothing. So yeah, that's crazy. And that makes you wonder too about, other teams and, some of this that goes on with these organizations.
And then what you mean, like as far as
even the coaching, the hiring practices, you know what I mean? Like you look at an ex-player playing and then, a former NBA player turned coach.
Yeah.
They understand. They got an understanding of what it takes. Yeah. And then they bring in these guys that, you know what I mean?
Now, George Karl he played at North Carolina, and George Karl played. He also played with Iceman George Gervin.
Yeah, but that don't mean he was a good ball player.
No, he said he didn't like. He said he didn't like George Gervin because he was a role player to George Gervin.
Nobody. Man, he got complaints about everybody.
For him to not have no ring, he definitely coached for a long time.
He was in a long time.
1978 to 2016.
Yeah.
He don't have nothing to show for it but a book about Melo.
Yeah.
Nope. And nobody like him, and he ain't like nobody.
Right. But that's what I'm saying. You got to look into the organizations who hired him.
The Spurs, the Cavs, the Warriors.
That's crazy.
The Supersonics, Bucks, the Nuggets. And
they
had
Kings. All had talented players.
Who you say after the Nuggets?
The Kings was the last team.
Sacramento Kings.
In 2015 to 2016.
But, so he stayed over the West Coast more. His whole career.
But that's what they was doing though. They was recycling a bunch of lazy bum ass coaches.
Bum coaches.
Yeah, they still do. Certain people they recycle. That's why, like when Doc Rivers got that job, you really can't complain because this been going on for years.
Yeah.
All right.
But with the organization,
when
it's
the issue. You can't be lazy when it just gave you the. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But are you trying to win? From a standpoint, when you look at his portfolio, you ain't trying to win.
He was just getting paid.
Yeah.
And he's just lazy about it. Like, because it's all about relationships. You know what I mean? Like if
that's first.
A kid will play for you if he feel like you legit, if you really care for him.
And you got to understand, you talk about professionals.
Well,
how you gonna coach guys that are? You got to bring a certain knack to that. These guys are professionals. It's you got to come with a good game plan for them.
Yeah,
they know how to play ball.
Something that they can believe in.
Something they can believe in, like Phil Jackson had with that triangle offense.
Yeah, sell them on something.
Yeah,
you gotta have something to sell, something for them to believe in.
He sell them football players. He sell them kids. You get what I'm saying? You definitely gotta give them something to hold on to, something to believe in. Even with coaching grown men, you still
yeah. When you leading grown men, you have to give them something.
For sure, because they're not just buying into anything.
Yeah, something to buy into.
You gotta have something.
No,
because that's the same thing that happened to the Milwaukee Bucks. Because they had Adrian, what was his name? Griffin. He was a coach, and he coached with 43 games. But I feel like it wasn't no connection between him, Giannis, and Middleton, and all those guys. Chris Middleton. Middleton hurt,
Listen, I haven't heard his name.
Yeah, Chris Middleton. Yeah.
Like, where's Chris Middleton?
Yeah, Chris Middleton is hurt. He out right now.
That's why I was like,
so it wasn't even though he might have had the best intentions, it wasn't no connection or nothing for them to buy into with Adrian Griffin. And so after 43 games, they got him out of there.
That's what can you see in 43 games?
I don't know. Well, he had been on the bench before that though, right?
Oh, okay. So they kind of expected him to just transition in and do what they wanted.
But
wishful thinking.
Yeah, clearly.
43
days worth of wishing.
Well, he might have seemed like he was in over his head once he got that coaching job, and then the players. That translated to the, and it was like, well, we need leadership at this position, and he didn't fulfill that leadership. So the same thing for George Karl, you know what I mean? If he's not bringing nothing, it's just not about X's and O's. I'm sure George Karl knew the game. He came from North Carolina, but he doesn't know people.
Right.
He knew the game, but he just don't know people.
Right.
And that's the difference between George Karl and like a Dean Smith.
Establishing a relationship.
Yeah.
That's first.
Yeah. Makes sense. So. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I had to say about George Karl.
He didn't have Sprewell.
Yeah, and see, that was another guy.
Yeah, Latrell Sprewell.
Yeah,
that was
Lucky he didn't have him.
What was the coach name? PJ Carlesimo that he choked out. Yeah. And see, that's another thing. Those guys coach like that. That coaching style, they was brashing in your face, but you can't be like that with grown men.
Exactly.
Street mentality.
Yeah, you can't.
And so coaching ego and player ego.
Definitely. Ain't for so much you gonna take.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So you gotta know how to coach grown men, and you can't be lazy. You got to think.
And you can't just use your title to your advantage. No. I'm the coach, so you gotta listen.
The title don't work. You gotta be a legitimate leader.
Yep.
Yes.
You gotta be a legitimate leader.
Of it.
That's true.
And that's why George Karl, he the one getting exposed. He writing a tell-all book, and he exposing himself.
Let's go to the family.
I don't know. Yeah, it's for the family. That's it. Family. That's how proceeds go to
get a
the
bag.
family.
Yeah, they just trying to get a bag.
I think just his cousins and stuff gonna buy.
Yeah. And then everybody else on social media just drag them.
Right.
They're gonna put it right up next to Jada Pinkett.
Yeah.
From side by side.
Yeah. Everybody else just drag them.
Melo should just write a book. Tell Melo write the book.
But yeah, man, that's all I had to say on that George Karl situation. I just thought it was sad. So how long we been on now, Mike?
20.
Oh, okay. All right, Jack. Everybody make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. Also go to urbanplatformfashion.com. Check out our merchandise. We have the hoodies. The hoodies come in black, gray, and pink. We have the long sleeve t-shirts and the short sleeve t-shirts. And also, yeah, don't forget to get you some socks too. Keep your feet nice and warm. For the socks, you have to go to our Instagram page. That's the 1111 down in the corner.
That's ELVN11_socks.
Yep, yeah. There's some nice socks too. So yeah, make sure to pick up some socks.
To get you some of these.
And yeah. And tune into, like I said, we go live every Saturday and Sunday. So Saturdays we go live at 2 o'clock. And Sundays we go live at, what time we go live on Sundays? 11 a.m.
11 a.m.
Yeah, right after church. You know, y'all catch that early service, then y'all be able to come back and
check us out.
Sports talk. But,
make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a comment. Tell a friend.
Yep, tell a friend to tell a friend. And yeah, with that being said, we'll see y'all next weekend, and peace out.